updates on guys from yesterday, Sheldon, BJ?
Not yet. Both hamstrings for both those guys, so we'll just continue to see where that goes throughout the week.
How do you feel about Chris Jenkins' chances?
We'll see. He's kind of, again, coming off the surgery, get him at that practice and see where it goes from there.
Do you feel like y'all need to go get you need depth at defense?
That's something we got to talk about, and continue to have a plan going forward, which they have. We've talked about that upstairs, and we'll just see where the week takes us.
What's an ideal type of defensive tackle that you think y'all that fits kind of what y'all are doing defensively this year? What are some traits that are really good for what y'all do in the interior?
Good versus the run on the pass.
The usage of the tight ends yesterday, was that game specific, or is it something you think as you evolve you can lean into that a little bit?
I think we got a great grouping of tight ends, and so again, that's been a part of where we saw this going all spring and training camp. It could be more so in some games than others. Sometimes it gets you matchups in the run game. Sometimes it gets you matchups in the pass game with your receivers even, just to have the tight ends on the field and the base defense it provides. So when you got guys you believe in, which we got several tight ends that we believe in, it allows you to be multiple and open it up. And I thought that was a good element of our offense yesterday.
Sounds like the Chiefs double Jamar like they always do. Do you feel like you guys have more options when teams double Jamar than you've had in previous years?
It's hard for me to say because we've had a lot of talent that's been here and left as well. So just maybe different ways that we can use it and uncover Jamar too, And so, again, I felt good about how we utilized Jamar yesterday. I know he didn't have a ton of targets, but it was more so because his presence really opened things up for a lot of other guys because of the attention he got. And so, I walked off and I'm like, 5 targets, 4 catches. But at the same time, when you really study it, there was times he could have gotten the ball and the ball went beyond him for bigger plays. And so I thought that, we did a good job with the opportunities that were there.
He continues to make good progress, Zac.
He does. Yeah, I think this extra day really helps this week. So I don't want to make any proclamations on where he'll be on Monday night, but I feel like it's trending in a positive direction.
Is it ever a good sign when a player like that works out before the game like yesterday?
I think his attitude is, he's doing everything he can to get back out there. And so our job will be to manage that, make sure we're putting him in a good situation before he's out there and ask too much of him. But I think everything's moving in a good direction.
You had mentioned yesterday that Drew had to have the IV, and so you got other tight ends in spots where they're not used to being. You had to burn a timeout. Did you just chalk that as unfortunate circumstances?
Yeah.
When you guys talk about, you need to know the whole office, not just your.
The personnel grouping mismatches down there on the goal line with them. They're in goal line defense, and so you need as many big people as you can because you're just overloaded and it's zero. And it was a rare situation that will probably never occur again, where we had 47 goal line plays on the one possession where we had to get, we weren't sure if we were going to get him back in that drive or not. I kept looking at the tunnel, waiting to see if he was going to come out of the tunnel any moment. And then you just get down there, and all of a sudden it's difficult with the crowd noise to rearrange some plays, make sure it's clear in the huddle what's happening, because they couldn't hear as well. I mean, they couldn't hear Burrow, anything down there. And so, again, everyone's just trying to read his lips, I'm sure, and figure out what's going on. So just kind of a once-in-a-lifetime situation that occurred. We obviously got back to the sideline and were able to conjure up some more plays in case Drew was out again with extra alignment or however it looked. But just a while. I'm glad we came away with the touchdown. I would have been really, really frustrated had we not, but that was challenging.
When you look back at the pass interference play, were guys in the spots they were supposed to be? Did that change when Patrick scrambled at all?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're in zone and he scrambles, it always creates guys that are having to move and match receivers, and it's how the situation played out. Dejon, I thought, did a great job trying to get himself in position. Just the way the ball's thrown, it's up, and so he's trying to go up and make a play. And, you can talk through how you can subtly do it a little bit differently, but it's bang, and that's football. And proud of the way that those guys competed. They had a great drive. The penalty occurred. They responded the right way, gave up, 3 yards, after that. And so there were some really good things to continue to build off of for their defense. It's discouraging nonetheless because of how it ended, but there's some real positives to draw from that last possession.
Joseph Ossai said he spoke to Dejon about that play, and obviously Joseph
say to Dejan, face it, fix it, forget it?
Yeah.
How much does that help in the chemistry of the room, the defense?
Well, I mean, it just, standing in the locker room after the game, you can see the emotion with the guys, how much they poured onto that field and how much that game meant to them and how disappointed they were. And it's a strange thing to say, but that puts me in such a positive mindset going forward, like just where this team is at and how much they care, and to take that loss so personally, and guys, feel like, man, it was maybe my play when it's not. I mean, that's big picture. It's absolutely not. And I like that Dejan competes as hard as anybody out there, and I want that from him. I want that from Joseph Osai, and so guys play hard, and sometimes it won't go your way, and that's not going to change our process, and we want guys that care that much to where it affects them that way, and there's other guys that can lift them up. That's what I like about this team.
Obviously, you guys have been in this situation before after week 2.
Mm-hmm.
What's the most unique thing about this start compared to maybe some of the other starts we all just had, similar record?
Well, I mean, they're all disappointing. This is certainly all the work that we put in the off season and training camp, and you feel really good, and so you don't anticipate this start. That's not what we anticipate, but at the same time, I think there's a lot of things that we're continue to build off of, and we're going to be in the right direction. Now, we got to treat this week just like we treated last week. Everyone's got to be on top of all the details, and we can't give these guys an inch, and we got to find a way to make every play we can and get this first win. But there's still a lot of football left to play. I'm confident our guys are going to respond the right way this week.
As you evaluated Burton in the draft, was the first thing that stood out his ability to kind of beat aggressive corners downfield?
Yeah, I think his physicalness. He's a physical player. His contested catches really stood out to you. His speed really stood out to you. His competitiveness stood out to you. I think those were probably the first things that come to mind when you watch him on tape.
For a guy that's not getting maybe the amount of snaps and the amount of running that he would like to get, how big can a play like that be to kind of jumpstart the confidence?
It's a really good thing for him. I was really proud of his attention to detail this week and the emphasis he put in. And, there was opportunity for that role to increase this week. It didn't always play out that way as the game went, but he was locked in and felt a lot of confidence in him, as we went through the week. And there was just that moment he makes that play where you're genuinely really happy for him making that play because to an extent it takes the pressure off. It's your first big play in a real NFL game, and you've waited for that moment. He's put in the work, and he'll continue to build off of that, and our confidence in him will continue to grow.
With the
Go ahead, Jay. I'll get you, and then I'll come back. Yeah.
with the Dejan play, what's the teaching point there? Because if it's a Hail Mary, it's just knock it down. But you
Yeah.
can't really have that mindset, can you? When it's more of a traditional play to just go up and knock the ball down and not make contact.
Yeah, it's again how the ball is thrown factors into that. Whether you're just trying to get around the defender to make the play to knock it down. I think it put him in a more difficult situation because it was up high, and so he's going up high and trying to make the play that way as opposed to getting around and maybe you can't get your hand up there. So it's so bang bang. You can overanalyze it every which way. That's about all I can say on it.
After getting a chance to watch Kansas City's offense back maybe today, how much did Trey Hendrickson impact the game overall yesterday?
Yeah, I mean that's Trey. He's an impact player for us. He's been that way every time we played against him. In our big games, Trey steps up. Even when he's not making contact with the quarterback, you feel it, and so that's always in their head. We gotta help over there. He's gonna impact the game. Even on a play where Patrick broke contain on the right side going towards the tunnel and had a lot of free space to run. Who's chasing him down from the backside? Trey. Just going all out and. So I can think of so many times Trey on that field finishing plays like that where he's just pursuing, for 6-7 seconds. Sam, same way. And so, again, those are guys that we count on to make those plays for us, and they certainly had their really strong moments last night for us.
Cam, was that one of the better picks you've seen here? Cam Taylor-Britt?
Yeah, it's an amazing play. He's just got – some guys just have great and – I said last night, he's a quarterback, so he played catch his whole life. He probably played catch and threw and you catch, and that translated. I always felt that genuinely at Nebraska. He had tremendous ball skills, and that shows up in practice for us. That shows up in games last year. He had a bunch of great picks, And so, again, he just knows how to judge the ball. And, you know, sometimes the ball's thrown in a certain way where one-hand catch is a little you got a better shot at it. So he was kind of in that body position where he could snatch it with his right hand, and it was an impressive play.
Y'all have avoided going 0-3, I think, since Burrow's been like losing 3 straight games, since Burrow's like rookie year. Why have y'all been able to bounce back historically when y'all have slow starts, or maybe you suffer a couple of losses back to back?
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, we don't use the word avoiding losing. I mean, we're going to win. That's just our mindset. So I don't have a great answer for you there. It's just we're going to find a way to win.
Every game is different, every circumstance and situation, but do you have a baseline of when it's too early to go for 2?
It's conversation. The game flow will dictate that too. And so probably the moment you're referring to is when we missed the extra point maybe. And so however you want to look at that, had you made that, they're kicking the game-tying field goal at the end of the game, you know, by kicking that extra point. And so I think you can slice that a couple different ways. I felt like our red zone defense was really good and had done a good job holding them to field goals, as opposed, you know, they got the long touchdown obviously on the go route, but our defense had a lot of faith that we were going to hold them to field goals and not touchdowns, and so 2 field goals is going to have to be what's required of them. So third quarter just felt too early to go for 2, and felt like let's just take the points and keep this a 6-point lead.
Over your experience, Zach, in an emotional game, close game, and what happens with Jamar in the fourth quarter, what has been your experience as the best way to handle the player, the team, and that whole dynamic?
It's always unique. I mean, every situation is unique, and every player is different. And again, just trying to get everyone to settle down and take a deep breath, because you know sometimes you get in a moment and it's a very emotional moment and everyone reacts a little differently, and so you got to find the right way to get to them. And obviously that's not something we can have take us out of a 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7 to a third and long. That really now we're just trying to get back in field goal range to ensure the kick at that point. And so those aren't. That's not what we're about. Obviously those are things that we've avoided in the past and something we got to rectify.
You've known Jamar a while now. Would you say wins and production make him the happiest on the field?
I admire his competitiveness. I don't ever want to try to tame that energy and that competitiveness, because that's what makes him one of the greatest in this league. And so again, he knows, but I like that fire from him. Sure, there's been times I've had to rip him for the penalties he's gotten against the Chiefs, but I can think of the one here a couple years ago after the touchdown. But at the same time, that's the competitiveness that I want from him, and we feed off of that. And so again, it's just managing it the right way. But I respect that about Jamar.
Do you feel like any of the off-field stuff that he's had to deal with have maybe contributed to anything like
You'd
that?
have to ask him. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, thank you.
Zach,
Thank you.